Okay, so hello and welcome to my channel. It again has been absolutely ages since I filmed anything, so this is going to kind of be a part one of what I've read during April and March. So I've got 4 books today, some of them good and one of them bad that I really didn't like. So I will start with the bad one that I did not enjoy at all, and it's probably the worst I've read so far this year, but it's The Book of You by Claire Kendall. I picked it up at the local charity shop, and I only had I think it was 28 minutes past 4 when I walked into the shop, and it closed at 4:30, so I had to really quickly just find 2 books that I like the look of, and this was one of the ones that I picked up and I absolutely hated it. It is about a girl called Clarissa who works at a university with a man called Rafe, and he starts to stalk her, and that is basically all it is. There's no twists, there's no turns. She's taking part as a member of the jury in a court case that's kind of similar, where it runs parallel to her own problems, but it's really rubbish, and it splits between her own point of view and third person. There was no reason for it. I didn't get it, and I didn't find it well written. I didn't warm to the characters. I just did not find it interesting, and I really didn't like it. So that's that one. Next one was Lullaby. Again, I got this in the charity shop because I had seen it being reviewed, and it was quite a new one, and normally it would be, I walked past Waterstones and I think it was like £12.99 in there, and I got it for 90p, and it is beautiful. It's a lovely, it's soft cover, but it's got the French flaps in it, which I don't think I've ever seen before. Normally that's only in hardcover, but it is a very, very pretty cover. But it's about a girl, well, it's about she's not a girl, she's an older nanny called Louise, or it's this nanny that they take on called Louise. It's a French family, and they've got 2 children, and it opens with the children are dead, or the baby is dead. It took only a few seconds, so you know that the children have died in the first line, and you just find out how this all happened, because to start with you're like, this nanny sounds amazing. How on earth is she murdered or killed or whatever she's done to these children? How has this happened? It's very literary. I didn't expect it. I thought it was going to be a bit like Girl on the Train, that's quite fast paced, and so it was very literary and dark, and I really, really enjoyed it, but it was different to what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a fast-paced thriller, and it's not that at all, but it's very beautifully written, and it's nice short chapters, which is something that I love, and it does go between a few different points of view almost, just so you can get a little bit of an idea of this nanny from other points of view, but yeah, it was a good one. Next one is The Girl Before. I'd seen this one in Sainsbury's a few times when I'd gone in there and thought, oh, that looks alright, and then I'd seen someone reading it in the waiting room at work, and I was like, oh, actually I think I am going to get it, so I went and got it that night, and it was really good. It's basically about, it splits between these 2 girls. One's called Emma, who is the girl before, and one's called Jane, and they've both applied to live in this amazing house that an architect has built, and he has certain rules that they have to live by to live there. And when Jane moves in, she finds out that somebody has died there before her, before she lived there, and she finds out that it was the person who lived there before, who's called Emma, and she starts to investigate, and it splits between what happened to Emma and what Jane is finding out, and it just kind of twists and turns, so you try and find out what happened to Emma, who killed her, why, and it's really good. It's really good. It's really dark. I just thought it was very interesting and oppressive. It just felt very much like, because the house is kind of alive, which it has that sort of old school horror film feel to it, where the house is eating you up. It's really, really good, but it's definitely worth a read, and I really enjoyed that one. And then finally, a bit of an older one now, is The Woman in Cabin 10. I did read In a Dark, Dark Wood by Ruth Ware and loved it. So I thought I'll get this one and have a look. And it was well worth a read as well. She just does the thriller so well. But this one is about a journalist called Lo Blacklock, and she gets to step in for her boss to go on a luxury cruise, to write about it in the magazine that she works for. And when she gets on the boat, she meets this girl who is in the cabin next to her, and which is cabin 10, and in the night she thinks she hears her fall overboard, and then she thinks there's a murder. But then it turns out that there was nobody in cabin 10, so she has to prove that she's not going crazy, because she was drinking a lot and she's on antidepressants, and it makes people start to not believe what she's saying. So she's trying to prove that she did hear and see this woman, and that somebody has died, and she has to prove who it was, and who murdered this girl and why. So there's quite a few different factors to put into it, which makes it all that more interesting, because normally it's like, there is a dead body, we know there's a dead body, how did it become dead and who did it? As this one, we don't even know if there is a dead body, which I just thought was an interesting idea. But it was really good, and again it was one that twisted and turned, and at the last minute you're like, oh, didn't expect that, which is kind of what a thriller should do. So yeah, very, very good. I have read some more books in the last 6 weeks, so I will do another sort of part 2 very soon, but they're the first 4 books that I have read. So yeah, I'll speak to you very soon. Bye.